Fear was my bouncer for love. And I know that I've done quite a few topics about fear before. However, I keep bumping into it. And therefore I would love to share some experiences with you, especially now, because I did some experiments that I can't wait to share with you. Especially because I met someone, and based on the fear I felt inside, I was able to experiment some things within myself. So, but I'll come back on that later. And yeah, I want to tell you about a retreat I did before I went to Thailand. Before I went to Thailand, I did a retreat with Rachel and Booster from Embodied Intimacy and Christian Pankhurst from Heart IQ. And during that retreat, my request was, like, we were sitting in circle, and my request was, what is standing in between me and man? Like, what is going wrong? And the question was, like, to stand in the middle of the circle, it's like 40 people or something, and to dance. He said, like, would you please dance? Just dance how you feel. And I was standing there in the middle of the circle, and everyone was looking, of course, and I was super nervous, but I was like, okay, I can do dancing, like I've done dancing before. So what I did is, like, I danced exactly how I felt, and I was moving. I felt sensual, sexual, I felt vulnerable, I felt the anger, I felt sadness, I felt all emotions. And I was dancing and I felt so good. And I really felt like, wow, this is truly me. This is fully me, who I am, in all my colors and all my shapes, in my light and my darkness. Everything is here. And the funny thing was that I asked, like, okay, so I asked the group, so what is going wrong? Like, if I can feel this with myself. So the trainer said, like, oh, let's put a man in that circle. Let's see how that goes. And I asked Booster to join me in the circle, and we had to do a few exercises. So the question was, again, to dance, to fully dance, like, from a place of myself. And what I noticed is that, like, we did a few things, but that I was from a place of fear. I was like blocked in some way. I tried to dance, but I couldn't find my joy and my authenticity. And it was even that bad that at the end I was, like, angry at him. I was like, why aren't you moving? Why, you know, come up and do something. And I was scared, and eventually he stood up and he came closer to me, and I was crying so much. And he came closer and closer, and eventually I became smaller and smaller, and I became like a little girl, and he was holding me, and it felt really good. But I also noticed that this is not the way I want to be approached by men. This is not the way I want to approach men. So the feedback I received was, you approach from a place of fear that the person will hurt you. And it's not that you attract unavailable men only. It's that if you're scared, if you approach already from a place of fear, that is what you will create. And it was very intense. It was a very beautiful retreat. And what really helped me is to really see, okay, there is fear, but how does this work? And it was actually up until now that I didn't find a place for myself to work this through. I received the insight in that beautiful retreat, but there was no moment to, especially because of the situation, there was no moment to really test how can I approach from a place of love and without fear. So suddenly on the island Thailand, and then that's why I come back here, I met this man and we had a good connection. It was like we have a good connection. I can laugh with him, and he looks very attractive, and all these kind of things. And at the same time, I don't know, his approach was like, I didn't know what to do. And I could feel my fear coming up. I could really feel like the fear was like coming in between. And then I was like, oh yeah, he's probably like that typical kind of asshole. And I don't know, I was thinking all these negative thoughts, and suddenly I was like, okay, what would I do if I could see him from a place of trust? If I create my own reality, what would happen if I would see him as like the most amazing guy, like trustworthy guy who is like ready to be with me? And that changed something in my perspective towards him. I was like, okay, how would I like be in contact with him if I would trust him? And I noticed already a difference with that. Like I already noticed that he would be more loving and more caring, and he said like, go to a woman who is here. She does like healings and all these kind of things. And I just went to her to have a chat, and ended up having a healing from her, which was really profound and deep. It was really beautiful. Her name is Simona. She does all these different kinds of retreats and healing sessions. And so we ended up like doing a healing session where I went to the feeling that I feel blocked inside, like to that fear. And I went deeper and deeper into the feeling, and she said like, imagine yourself being in the middle of a lotus flower in your heart, and imagine your most vulnerable, sensual, beautiful, feminine you. And I imagined that. And then she said like, you're standing in a beautiful temple, and outside of the temple there's a man. And she said, this man is protecting your temple, is protecting you. And I looked at the man, and he was so masculine and attractive, and yet so loving and so caring and so protective over me. And then I realized like, wow, this would be a typical kind of man that I want to invite in my life. And suddenly I noticed that when I imagine a man approaching me, and like that inner masculine me would be the gatekeeper of that inner temple, that I had another protector, another inner masculine. And I found out that was like a super bitch, like a business bitch, like part of me protecting myself, but not in a loving way. She was like a woman with a whip, and she was like without love, protecting everyone from coming in. Men, women, doesn't matter. No one was able to enter. So she was like standing in front of me, and I was like, okay, so you've been serving me probably very well. Like when I was younger, I really needed you, like to be safe. But is there a way to let you go? So we did a lot of work to eventually to face her, because she was like I looked at her from the back, and eventually she was turning around, and all the colors changed, and I was able to let her go. I was like, I'm grateful for the protector, but I have an inner protection, you know, like I have that inner masculine, and I have that inner feminine. I don't need a super bitch anymore who's standing in front, who doesn't let anyone in. So, well, we did a lot of other things as well, and a lot of beautiful work, but that was the most profound part. And eventually the man I met was very curious to know what I was going through with that healing session. So eventually, like, we went to the beach and had a walk and a talk, and I could see from a place of love. I was like, I don't need protection. I just show my sensual, vulnerable me. I can do that because I can protect myself. I don't need a super bitch anymore. I know my boundaries. And from that place, I could see that I was opening my heart so I could see him better. So if I would be seen better, that means I have to show myself to be able to see the other person as well. And therefore, like, we had a conversation. I could ask him questions about how he sees life and how he sees things and all these. And the beautiful thing was, like, I'm super attracted to him, but he's so not my type. He's so not for me. And I was so happy and grateful, but I could still feel the fear towards him, because there is some kind of attraction that would still, like, trigger the fear inside of me that he would be a person that could hurt me, and that would be a person that I want to be seen by. But every time I could feel like, oh, he's like a beautiful practice for me to stay my authentic self, to stay vulnerable, to stay playful and sensual and all parts of me, and yet play with him from a place of trust, see him from a place of trust, and to really interact with him without the fear involving. And for me, that was such a beautiful like experiment, and I could see that he's changing because of it. And it's not that he will become suddenly like someone I want to be with. It's more that, like, I could feel like when the fear comes up that he would be able to hurt me if I show that much of myself. Every time I can come back to the feeling of trust towards him and trust towards myself. And I also discussed this with my best friend Ona, and she said, like, if you approach someone from a place of fear or distrust, that will be the only part that you will see from someone. And that would be the same case if someone approaches you from a certain energy, then the other person will see only a certain part of you. So that means that if I would approach someone or see someone from a place of love and trust, that will be the part that I see. And if I feel this trust, there's no way that someone can hurt me. Like, yeah. So that's what I wanted to share with you. Like, really, I'm so grateful that I am going through this, and so grateful to be here. And yeah, like, staying from a place of authenticity and love and trust is a practice. Like, I can see that and I can feel that. Wow, I'm so excited to be in this experience and to experiment with the fear, the love, all the abundance that is given me here. So yeah, I will come back on this because I can see that there's something evolving here. So I'm not sure how long this video took, but thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching. I wish you a magical, beautiful day. Today in the Netherlands there is Memorial Day to remember all the people who passed away in not only the world wars, but well, in general. So I will take my moment at 8 o'clock to memorize the people who need to be memorized. And tomorrow is Liberation Day, and I'm not sure, but I'm curious what will happen in the Netherlands on Liberation Day, and if people go on the streets or not. Okay, so thank you for watching, and I wish you a beautiful day, and I'd love to see you next week again. With love. Ciao.